أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبل وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعد الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وأجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين سيما بقية الله الأعظم بقية الله خير لكم إن كنتم مؤمنين ولعن الدائم على أدائهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. Amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum and welcome to Question Time, a program that is dedicated to the contemporary issues and certain questions that are raised in regards to that. I would like to introduce you today the day of Arafah. What is Arafah? The questions was in regards to the Arafah because of the day. We will focus today on the day of Arafah. The day of Arafah, although it's not been recorded as the day of Eid, but it is considered to be one of the Eid, one of the great ayat, one of the great ayat within Islam. Not in the sense like Eid al-Fitr or Eid al-Duha, for example, which is the Eid or Eid al-Ghadir, for example, but Eid in the sense that where, in the literal sense, where Eid means a return back to the nature. So on this day or on the day or on the night of Qadr, for example, Laylatul Qadr, we tend to reflect, we tend to return back to our fitrah, to our nature, and seek forgiveness. We go back to God, we return to God. So this going back to God, this returning back to God, this oud, as they say, return, as they say, is known as Eid. It's one of the most fascinating day, the day of Arafah, at the eve of Eid, the Dhuha, for example, which is tonight, and it's the day where the emanation of the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spreads for the Hajis, and also it includes all those who sincerely worship the Lord, who sincerely seek forgiveness on the day of Arafah. As it's been mentioned that for a person who did not get the opportunity or who is not forgiven, for example, on the night of Qadr, for him is Arafah, is the day of Arafah. They say that, Riwayat says that to think that the sin of a person is not forgiven, of a Haji, is not forgiven on the day of Arafah, itself is considered as a sin. So on the day of Arafah, all sins are forgiven for each and every Muslim who is in the mash'ar, who is in the grounds of Arafah and seeking forgiveness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his sins are forgiven. But for example, if he remains on the kufr, if he remains on the same sort of ideology or understanding, then once again those things are accumulated after that. So the Arafah is the day of forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now obviously, for this day to remain today, for the Arafah to be Arafah, for the Makkah to be Makkah, for the Tawaf to be the Tawaf, for the Hajj to be the Hajj, there is a caretaker of that. And the caretaker of that and the protector of that was no one but Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. That's why to be either in the ground of Arafah or to be in the haram of Imam Hussein alayhi salam it has a very important significance. As mentioned in a riwayat that people who are in Arafah, people who are in the haram of Imam Hussein, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will focus upon the zawar of Hussein first. Hal jazaul ihsan illa al ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, although the guests in Arafah are the guests of Allah, the guests in Imam Hussein's place are the guests of Imam Hussein. So now, as Hussein have protected Arafah, as Hussein have protected the Hajj, as Hussein have protected the Makkah wa Mina, Tawaf wa Kaaba, now Allah, Hal jazaul ihsan illa al ihsan. Allah will say, Hussein, your guests are my guests. I will attend to your guests first, and then I will attend to my guests who are in Arafah, because you have protected the Arafah by Zabi Azim, by that sacrifice that you have done. There are two fascinating du'as on the day of Arafah. One is the dua of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, amazing dua. The other is the dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, very famous, amazing dua as well. We tend to usually recite the dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, which is quite famous, and also it's been mentioned in the Mafati as well. One must really recite that dua on the day of Arafah, Now obviously, according to the sighting of the moon, Friday here it's been mentioned. So tonight is Thursday night, and now tomorrow is the eve of that day, So and Saturday apparently it's been announced by the Majlis Ulama to be the Eid. But for those who are celebrating Thursday as the day of Arafah, tonight is the eve of their Eid as well. Now, not to get into the moon, let's just have that marifat, that understanding of what Arafah is. It's quite important for those who have recited the dua today, for example, for them as well. For those who will be reciting the dua tomorrow, for them as well, to know, to have the shinakht, as they say, to have the ma'arif, to have the understanding of this phenomena of Arafah, of this phenomena, why Arafah is Arafah. Now, why there's a very famous hadith which is repeated over and over again by our scholars, and that is, there was a beggar who was asking people for aid and help, and Imam Sajjad says, vow unto you, today, do you know what's the day today? Today is the day of Arafah, to extend our hands towards our Lord and ask from no one but ask from our God. Now, why Arafah is known as Arafah? I was just going through a couple of articles by Ayatollah Jawad Amali and others. It's been mentioned that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, when he was thrown out of the Jannah, فَتَلَقَ آدَمَ مِنْ رَبِّ كَلِمَاتُ فَتَابَ عَلَيْهِ إِنَّهُ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. Hazrat Adam alayhi salam was taught by Jibreel that you should go in from Mina, you should go to Arafah, and you should seek forgiveness. You should seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do tawbah to Allah, and after that you enter Makkah, you purify yourself. So Arafah is a ground where Hajis, where they go and they seek forgiveness. They have, because the condition of entering Makkah is purity. A person have to be pure to enter the haram, to enter the house of God. So all of the Hajis, they come out, they remain in Arafah, and they seek forgiveness, And once their sins are forgiven and they are purified, then they enter the holy shrine, the Makkah and the house of God. Now, there are different accounts in regards to why Arafah is known as Arafah. Arafah, which comes from knowing, right? The reason it's been said that Arafah is known as Arafah is because Hazrat Ibrahim in this place had the marifat of God, have the marifat of the sacrifice, had that dream again. So if you look at the marahil, the stages of Hajj, you have the Arafah, and then you have the stoning of the shaitan, right, and the sacrifice. All of these things are pointing out to that this riwayat which says that it was in the ground of Arafah when Hazrat Ibrahim was supplicating to the Lord, and he was there in the ground of Arafah. It was inspired. The dream came to Hazrat Ibrahim there that you should sacrifice Ismail. So he had the marifat, the knowledge of sacrificing Hazrat Ismail in that ground. That's why that ground is known as Arafah. The other account says that because it was this ground in which Hazrat Ibrahim recognized and realized, and he says, Araftu, I have recognized, I have understood. What? Who is insan? Insan is weak. Insan is faqir. So realization of that, because they say that on the day of Arafah, fasting is recommended. However, if this fasting will make you recite dua, and not concentrate in the dua, don't fast. Because it's the day of dua. The day of seeking and asking God is highly recommended, right? So here there is a dua which was taught by Jibrail to Hazrat Adam alayhi salam in Arafah. That's why that land is known as Arafah. It says that Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik La ilaha illa ant Amiltu su wa dhalamtu nafsi i'taraftu bidhambi اغفر لي إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم. This was the dua which was taught by Hazrat Jibrail to Hazrat Adam, that you go to this ground of Arafah and you recite this dua, Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik La ilaha illa ant Amiltu su wa dhalamtu nafsi i'taraftu bidhambi. I do i'tiraf, I accept the dhamb, the sin that I have committed, the mistake that I have done. Ighfirli innaka anta ghafurur rahim, and certainly you are ghafurur rahim. Now, obviously, when we are talking about sins, from a theological point of view, prophets are masoom. They never commit sins. This is the tarkul awla we are talking about. This is the error that we are talking about. This is the ghaflat that we are talking about. Obviously the Anbiya and Awliya, the Anbiya and the Imams, the Prophets and the Imams and the Rasuls, they are all masoom. There's a tarkul awla. Sin not in the sense, na'udhu billah, they go against the command of the Lord, for example, right? They can go against the recommendation. They might be unaware of carrying out an act which was suitable for them. Like for example, Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, when the father came, and when Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam was Aziz, he did not stand up from the throne because the father have arrived, in order for the respect of the father. So this act of Hazrat Yusuf was not suitable, because he is the prophet and he should have the best of akhlaq. Now that when the father have arrived, he should have stood up out of respect, and in return they say that God have taken the prophecy from the sulb, from the lion of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, because he did not act accordingly or according to his status. Now, obviously, this is not a sin. This is not like, na'udhu billah, how some of the Muslims tend to believe, for example, have the belief that the prophets are liable of committing sins. They can, there are different schools, right? You have the Ash'ari and you have the Mu'tazile. For example, one of the schools says that prophet can commit a sin by mistake. Some say that no, prophet intentionally can commit a smaller sin, but he cannot commit a greater sin. Now, those are the theological discussions which we have discussed previously as well, which we can discuss later on as well. Now, this is the ground of recognizing one's limitation, of recognizing that one is faqir, and it is the day of connecting to Ghani, to the perfect God, who is Kamal Mutlaq, who have everything within him, who is Allahu Samad. Qul huwallahu ahad, Allahu Samad. He is that. So that's the reason why this ground is known as the ground of Arafah, because Hazrat Ibrahim, Hazrat Adam, and the other riwayat also points out to that. It was the ground of Arafah where Hazrat Adam and Hazrat Hawa, they recognize each other after being kicked out of, after being sent out of the Jannah, and they were lost. They were trying to find each other. Finally, in the ground of Arafah, they met. They had the ma'rifat of each other. They had the knowledge of each other. That's why this is known as that. It is the ground of Arafah where they came to know each other. Now, there's another very beautiful riwayat or an historical sort of incident where the first and last Hajj of the Prophet have given the one of the most comprehensive chapters of the Quran, of the surah, was revealed in Arafah, and also the very unique sermon of the Prophet, where Prophet reminds people, where Prophet reminds them, and he says that perhaps this is my last Hajj, perhaps this is, we will not see each other, now take this advice from me. And it is this where he also mentioned in regards to wilayat as well. And then you have the Khutbah Ghadir, which is the most famous, in the last Hajj of the Prophet. So now, according to the tradition, one of the most comprehensive chapters of the Quran was revealed in Arafah as well. Now, Arafah is the day of ma'rifat of oneself, is the day of ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now when we reflect upon the dua of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, fascinating dua, amazing dua. It points out to La ilaha illa ant inni kuntu min al-zalimin, La ilaha illa ant inni kuntu min al-mutakabbirin, La ilaha illa ant inni kuntu min al-muwahhidin, La ilaha illa ant inni kuntu min al-muhallilin, La ilaha illa ant inni kuntu min al-mukabbirin. All of these where one is pointing out to, the different stations, the different maqamat, the different levels of ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who is a mukabbir? Who is a muhallil? Who is a, one who have done zulm? Who is a mubahid? These are the different levels of the perfection and kamal of knowing God, of having the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the dua Arafah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. It goes to the ultimate zinat, it goes to the ultimate perfection, where it says that Bika araftuka wa anta dallaltani alayk. O Lord, I know you because you have showed yourself to me. O Lord, how can I come to you through these signs that are around, which are limited, which rely on you, and how can they be the sign where you are the most perfect? So therefore, bika araftuka wa anta dallaltani alayk, O Lord, you have showed yourself to me and I know you. So this is pointing out to the highest level of marifat, where a person is seeing God himself, where he is recognizing God himself. That takes place through the dua of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, through understanding that dua of Imam Hussain. This takes place on the day of Arafah. Imam Hussain alayhi salam recited this dua as well in the grounds of Arafah. In the grounds of Arafah, Hussain recited this dua and it's been recorded. Now, it is a very important day where one is given the opportunity to supplicate, to do dua. So now we should dedicate a special time. We should prepare ourselves for the dua of Imam Hussain, for the day of Arafah. We should get rid of all the anxieties and all the sort of planning and whatnot. Just surrender ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the masjid or Husainiya, wherever we are going, sit and communicate. It is an opportunity given, and now particularly, as it falls on a Friday, being a Friday, the reward is also unique and it becomes very special. Now, a couple of other points which I wanted to point out to in regards to Arafah on the basis of the riwayat and the ayat is that Arafah is also pointing us out to that there is a special value of makan. There's a special value of zaman. Makan and zaman are very important that we need to consider. So therefore, Arafah is saying that this is the parameters, or this is the land which is known as Arafah. So an individual, for a person, needs to be in this ground where the emanations of the Lord, where the special blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showered there for those who are communicating and worshipping. So it points out to the value of the land, and it also points out to the value of time as well. This particular time, a Haji must be there. This particular time, the dua must be recited and must be finished before Maghrib, for example, after the Zawal, after the midday, for example, when we start the dua. So it points out to the unique and special time as well, and the value that Islam pays attention to the zaman and makan. There's a riwayat from one of the ashab of Imam Kazim alayhi salam, which points out to that, look, yes, today is the day of Arafah, but my dear brothers, do not forget your mu'mineen. Do not forget, those who are, you are your close ones. Because there's a riwayat that comes from one of the ashab of Imam Kazim alayhi salam. He says that Ibrahim saw one of the mu'min, one of the companion of the Imam, worshipping in Arafah. And he was crying so much, his hands were raised, the feet which was under his feet became wet, with his tears. He was crying so much. So after that, he went to, after the dua was finished and after the Hajis were about to leave, so Ibrahim, he goes to Jundab and he says that, I have not seen anyone the way you have prayed. Then he says, oh my dear brother, I was praying for my brothers who were far away from me, who were not near me. I was praying for them because I have heard from Imam Kazim alayhi salam that a person who prays for a brother, he will be rewarded 10 times more than what he has asked for. So if he has asked for one thing for a brother, he will be given that same, he will be given 10 times more than that. So he says that I was praying for my brother. I would like to read the matan of that riwayat so that we can really benefit from it. Inshallah, I will give you exact wording of this riwayat here. It's a very beautiful riwayat that comes from Ali ibn Ibrahim, who is quoting his father Abdullah ibn Jundab, who's quoting his father that he saw Abdullah ibn Jundab in the Arafah under the sky, and eyes flowing like a river, like a flood, from his eyes, tears flowing, and the ground became wet. And then he goes there, he says that I have not seen someone better than you worshipping the Lord. Abdullah replied, by God, I was in this state praying only for my brothers, because as I have heard from Imam Kazim that whosoever prayer for a brother brother Imani who is far away from his eyesight, and pray for him, and God will give him 10,000, not 10 times, God will give him 10,000 times more. وَلَكَ مَعْتَ أَلْفَ ضَعْفٍ مِثْلِهِ, right? Will give 10,000, 100,000, mi'a, will give him 100,000, sadhezar, 100,000 more than what he has asked for. So it is a day of remembering other mu'mineen and mu'minat, praying for them as well, not forgetting them as well, right? So all those who have gone for Hajj, all those who will be praying here on the day of Arafah, remember your mu'mineen and mu'minat, remember your brothers. See, as they say that, tears are known as the salah, as the armor of a mu'min. Ad-du'a kahf al-ijaba kama an sahab kahf al-matar. Imam Sadiq says that dua is considered as acceptance the same way as water is in the clouds, right? Within the dua, in the essence of the dua, istijabat is there, acceptance is there, in the same way that in the cloud there is water. So we should really ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and asking God, making dua, the acceptance is within it. And how shall we ask? Sincerely, with purity, with tears. Ad-du'a silahul mu'min, as they say, dua wa silahul buka, crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, tears flowing from the eyes are the armor, are the weapons against the shaitan which is within us. One could have a lot of armor to protect oneself, to fight the enemies who are outside, right? But what is the strongest armor? This weapons and this and that cannot be used against the shaitan. But what is used against the shaitan is the tears. Tears is the buka, is the crying, is the prayer. These things are very powerful, and these are the things that are used against the shaitan. So if a person doesn't cry and doesn't do buka, he doesn't cry, that means he is very weak. If he is weak, he will not be able to defeat shaitan. Shaitan is defeated with the weapons. Now, what is the weapon to defeat the shaitan? The tears. So crying is very important in the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the awe, in the greatness of the Lord, that one must cry. Yes, it is difficult to really, for some people to cry, for the tears to flow, but practicing If one can, that's why, it's so important that, see the barakat of Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein, Qurban al-Shaybi, may our life be sacrificed, the dust of the feet of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Crying is so powerful that is the greatest weapon against the shaitan. Now, Masaib of Imam Hussein. When Masaib of Imam Hussein is there, they say you should cry, right? When we listen to the Masaib. So, Imam Hussein is teaching us how to cry through his Masaib, through his Musibat, so that we get an eye which shed tears, so that we get a heart which is soft. So it will make me a person who could shed tears, because shedding tears is very important, because crying is very important, right? These are the weapons, these are the istilah, these are the armor against shaitan. So Hussein is teaching me through his Masaib that I should learn how to. Now, why I'm talking about Imam Hussein alayhi salam here, is because they say that if you cannot cry, if tears doesn't flow to your eyes, pretend yourself, show yourself, portray yourself as if you're crying, make your face like crying. Perhaps this will eventually bring about those tears. If a person is acting like that, is pretending like that, thinking about the Masaib, eventually, gradually, he will reach to a point where tears will flow through his eyes when the name of Hussein is taken. Because Imam Rida alayhi salam, whenever the name of Hussein was taken, automatically tears will flow through the eyes of Imam Rida. They asked that, Imam Rida, whenever we say Hussein, we see ashq, we see tears coming from your eyes. Imam Rida replied, he says that Hussein is like the ayah wajib. He says that when you listen to the ayah, to the verse of the Quran in which sajda is wajib, right? You listen to the verse or you recite the verse where sajda is wajib, you fall in humbleness, in submitting to the Lord, saying Subhana Rabbiyal A'la wa bihamdih, because those verses, it's sajda wajib. You have to fall. Then he says that when you take the name of Hussein, tears automatically comes through the eyes of a mu'min, right? So shedding tears is one of the greatest acts considered within Islam. Dua Arafah, the day of Arafah, is the day of shedding tears. It's the day of dua. Let's all together, in all corners of the world, wherever you are, connect to your Lord on the day of Arafah. Shed some tears. Reflect upon ourselves, on the soul, on the sins that one we have committed, and seek forgiveness on the day of Arafah. Imam Hussein is the wasila. Recitation of the ziyarat of Imam Hussein on the day of Arafah is highly recommended. So let's connect to our Lord and seek forgiveness on the day of Arafah. غفر الله لنا ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Thank you very much for joining us. Question time, and we will be here next week again to attend to the questions of our mu'mineen and mu'minat. Make sure that you email us if you have any questions, and also follow Perspective, which is on Wednesday night, in which we are doing a commentary on Munajat of Amirul Mu'mineen, Munajat of Shabaniya of Amirul Mu'mineen, which is very important. See, brothers and sisters, Ma'arif Tawheedi is very important to gain our knowledge in regards to Tawheed, in regards to knowing God is very important. Muharram is also coming up. Arafah is already here, Eid is coming up, Ghadir is coming up. All of these dates are very important. This month is very important. Ibadat in this month is very important, particularly the first 10 days was very unique and special. Recitation of the La ilaha illallah, 10 times those tasbihat that are there are very important. So recitation of ziyarat of Ashura, so that it connects to the day of Ashura, is very important. So let's make the best of this month of Zil Hijjah, and also the month of Muharram, which is about to come, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.